you have a raging sports betting addiction, you are quite literally standing on a gold mine. Now, let me tell you why. If you are constantly sitting on your phone refreshing prize picks during class, during work, looking for your next parlay or your next bet to place, you're most likely a part of the 97% of sports bettors that are actively losing money and don't see any profits, versus the top 3% of people that, are placing bets and actively profiting in the long term and can't even remember the last time they deposited on a sportsbook. Now, if you are a part of that 97%, don't worry, because I was also there. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't managing my bankroll. I was chasing my losses, right? I was spending thousands of dollars in Discords hoping I could find a capper that would work and that would cash his bets for me. But surprise, surprise, none of them actually know how to cash. So if you are a part of the bottom 97% or the losing 97% of sports bettors, don't worry, because I'm going to show you how you can turn this addiction or this bad habit into a 6-figure side hustle that's actually sustainable and that can put you in the top 3% of sports bettors that are profiting. And next thing you know, you're not even going to remember the last time you needed to press deposit or you needed to add your card information to Prize Picks or to FanDuel or to DraftKings. So this is going to be a beginner's guide on the 3 strategies that I actually learned from, these hundreds of thousands of dollars of losses of trial and error, figuring out what works and what doesn't. I eventually came up with the 3 best strategies that any beginner sports bettor needs to incorporate if they ever want to be a top 3% of profitable sports bettors. Now, I would advise you guys lock in and pay attention to these next clips and this entire video very carefully, because like I said, you're going to be getting a lot of valuable information that costed me hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses and trials and errors, and you're getting this for absolutely free. So lock the fuck in. So the first strategy and the first technique that you guys need to incorporate, study, and understand is something called bankroll management. So what is bankroll management? First, let's cover what bankroll is. I'll put the definition right here, but essentially bankroll is just the amount of money that you want to allocate to your sports betting. So for example, if you were buying stocks, they say never put in or never invest what you're not okay with losing, even with gambling. So the same thing applies to sports betting. Don't use what you're not okay with losing. So that amount of money that you set aside that you would be okay with losing, right, would be your bankroll. So if you had $1,000 to, dedicate to sports betting, your bankroll would be $1,000. Right? If that $1,000 disappeared, if you lost all of it tomorrow, that wouldn't affect you. So don't go out taking loans. Don't go out, using your savings accounts or your college funds to sports bet, is what I'm trying to say. Next, we have something called units. You might often hear this term a lot within other Discords, other videos, or other TikToks, whatever. Units is essentially just a subset of your bankroll, right? Using the Kelly criterion, this is a formula that basically tells you what your proper unit size should be, right? So it's 1 to 3% of your total bankroll. Now the reason it's 1 to 3%, like I said, it's not a random made up number by me or by any other, YouTuber or any other sports bettor. It's an actual formula used to mitigate the risk and just show you the calculations of what is the most optimal for your unit size. That was a very rough explanation, but I'll basically put the Kelly criterion formula here so you can use it on your own. But long story short, it's 1 to 3% of your total bankroll. So if you have a $1,000 bankroll, your unit size would be $10 to $30, right? So you wouldn't be going around placing $50 on one bet, $100 on another bet, and then go back to your regular one unit of $10 or $20 or whatever. That's essentially what unit management is, bankroll management, and why it's important to stay consistent with your unit size. Once you set your unit size, right, let's say your unit size is $20, you're putting $20 every single slip, right? You start to win maybe five slips, 5 tickets in a row. Next thing you know, you get super cocky, you get a little bit emotional, you think you are on a hot streak, and you decide to bet $200 on the next ticket. That ticket loses, and next thing you know, all of your profits from that week are gone, and you're starting over from square one. This is why it's important to, even if you think a bet is better, quote unquote, than another bet, you always want to be sticking with your unit size. So we're moving on to our next topic here, but I also want you to remember to keep bankroll management and your unit size in the back of your head throughout the rest of this video and throughout the rest of your sports betting journey, because the first tip that we just went over is going to apply to the rest of the tips of this video, right? So this next thing that we have is called line shopping or odds shopping. Now what this is basically comparing odds, comparing lines across the difference of sportsbooks. So I have a motto that I always go by, that's the more sportsbooks that you're on, the more profitable you will be in the long run. The reason for this is because there are so many sportsbooks with so many different streams of data, one sportsbook is going to end up having better value than the other sportsbook. So if you don't understand what that kind of means, I'll give you a quick analogy to the stock market, right? On every brokerage, the price of Google stock or the price of Tesla stock is going to be the exact same or pretty much damn near the same, right? But then the sports betting market is very versatile, right? Each book independently sets their own odds, sets their own lines. So data moves in differently at different times, and sometimes you can catch a mispriced odd. And what I mean by that is the odd is basically the price of the stock or the price of the bet that you'll be buying it at, right? So if you have plus 100 on one book and then you have minus 150 on the rest of the books, you're getting a clear advantage and clear juice or clear value at the plus 100, because for every $100 you're putting in, you're gonna get $100 back in profit. Whereas if you put $100 in for the minus 150 line, you're gonna only get $50 back in profit, right? So what I'm trying to say is comparing lines, or what we call odd shopping or line shopping, is very important when you're trying to become a profitable sports bettor. A super easy way to understand what line shopping is referring to a strategy called positive EV sports betting. So positive EV is basically an overarching strategy that includes line shopping, that includes, movement of the odds, includes understanding odds, and, the difference of bookmakers. So a super easy way to incorporate line shopping and positive EV sports betting is by using the OddsJam tool. They have a great positive EV tool as well as a fantasy tool that helps you search for different lines and misprices within the sports betting market. All you have to do is click on the filters of the books that you have available, and it scans every single prop, and every time there's discrepancies or anytime there's value, it's gonna pop up and tell you exactly what to bet on. So it makes life super easy. So kind of going in a little bit more detail of how, line shopping correlates with these odds and how it correlates with positive EV, I kind of want to go over what odds are first, right? If you don't understand how to read odds, it's okay, it's very simple. Like I mentioned before, plus 100, you just want to think of it as even money. So anytime there's a plus sign between an odd, that basically means they're an underdog. Anytime there's a minus sign, that means they're the favorites. Now that doesn't mean that just because a team is favored at minus 150, they're gonna win and you should go bet all of your money on it. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's just terms, right? It's just you need to understand the terms for a positive side odd versus a negative side odd. The positive side odd is considered the underdog or less likely event to happen, and the minus side odd is considered more likely to happen, which means you're gonna get less payout or you're gonna get more payout, right? So the difference on sports books is, right, sports books have these different odds. They have plus minus odds, right? But then on fantasy apps like PrizePicks or Underdog, you get fixed payout. So what I mean by fixed payout is on PrizePicks and Underdog, whether or not you place the over or the under, you're still gonna get paid 3x for a 2-leg ticket, right? Or a 3-leg ticket on PrizePicks will pay you 5x no matter whether you take the over or under. And then on Underdog, if you do a 3-leg ticket, it will pay you 6x. So this is kind of why you hear from multiple sources that 3 legs on PrizePicks are frowned upon versus 3 legs on Underdog is generally where you want to be placing these 3-leg tickets on, because you get better payout. Everything is about the juice, everything is about the value, and it all comes down to understanding the odds and the payout structures of these different sports books and apps, right? So understanding how to read odds is very important. So it's relatively easy to understand. If there's a plus behind the number, all that means is that for every $100 you're putting in, you're getting that much back in profit. For a plus 200 line, if you put in $100, you're gonna get back $200 in profit, right? So on and so forth. You can kind of understand how to read these odds here. So like what I was saying before is when you're comparing these odds, you're comparing these lines to different books, to different markets, you kind of want to see what the majority of the market is leaning towards. So if you have one prop, right, Stephen Curry's over 5.5 assists, DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, Hard Rock, ESPN Bet, they all have this over favored at minus 140. But then Fliff, another sportsbook or another social sportsbook, has that same over as an underdog at plus 110. Which sportsbook are you going to want to take it on? Obviously, you're going to want to take it on Fliff because you're going to get more payout when it's already favored on the over. You're clearly going to want to take the line on Fliff because you're getting better payout, you're getting better value, right? So when the majority of the market has something favored and then another book is kind of slower to update their line, which means you're going to get better value and get better juice. So that's why we want to kind of line shop, compare odds, utilize something called positive EV or plus EV sports betting. So now that we've went over the first 2 strategies that you can actually start incorporating into your daily betting routines, it's time to go over a very special one that I personally use the most. And it's called arbitrage sports betting. A lot of you probably already know what this is, and you probably already know me from arbitrage sports betting. A lot of you guys call me the arbitrage guy, whatever, right? Arbitrage basically just means that you can never lose a sports bet again. Now, before you go and call me a scammer, before you go and say, oh, that's fake, that's too good to be true, just give me a chance to explain it, because I know it does sound too good to be true by all means, right? It's gambling, there's no such thing as guaranteed profits. Going back to the second strategy, when you're comparing odds and when you catch mispriced odds within the market, we can use something called arbitrage or hedging, where essentially we're betting on every single outcome of the same event. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a game, the Lakers versus the Clippers. when we catch these mispriced odds, we can bet on both the Lakers to win and the Clippers to win. And no matter what happens, whether the Lakers win or the Clippers win, we come out with a small percentage of profit from our original wager. How we can understand if an arbitrage opportunity presents itself is we need to have two different sports books. One sports book is going to have a mispriced line, the other might also have a mispriced line as well, but basically what it is when the positive side odd is greater than the absolute value of the negative side odd on the other sports book. So when one sports book has a positive side odd, the other sports book has a negative side odd, but the positive side odd is greater than the absolute value of the negative side odd, that's an arbitrage opportunity. Or when both sides or both sports books offer the line at a positive odd, it's also an arbitrage opportunity. You don't really need to understand the math behind this, or you don't need to worry or stress about the intricacies, because the OddsJam calculator does it all for you. Right, hopping onto the software, it's very similar to the user interface of the positive EV tool and the fantasy tool that we just went over. But all you need to do is kind of set your filters and then obviously go to this pink little calculator. You click that button, and after obviously you set all your settings, your bankroll and stuff like that, it's literally going to tell you which books to place it on, how much money to put on each side of the book, and all you need to do is go find the bet and lock it in. Right now, this is a very brief explanation of what arbitrage is, but it is very simple. It's a lot more simple than you would think, actually. So I actually have a lot more in-depth videos and guides on arbitrage sports betting and the topic itself, its intricacies, but like I said, this is just a very brief and introductory video on the techniques that I use to become a profitable sports bettor. Now, the reason I'm including arbitrage is because this strategy was the first one that I ever saw my first $20,000 month from. Now, it's because I did have a little bit of capital to play around with, but nonetheless, it is still a very reliable and profitable sports betting strategy that, the biggest sports bettors in the industry are very much abusing. And it's not illegal in any way, just a quick disclaimer, it's just very frowned upon by these sports books. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, what about limits and bans if it's frowned upon by the sports books, blah, blah, blah. We can get into that in a different video. I've already gotten into that on a bunch of other videos. You can go check those out and then come back here. But essentially, arbitrage sports betting, all you really need is two separate sports books. You need the actual arbitrage opportunity to hedge, and you can find those on the OddsJam software, like I said. And boom, all you need to do is go ahead and place the bets yourself and sit back, relax, and you don't need to stress because every single outcome will provide you with some type of profit. So if you couldn't tell, OddsJam is the MVP of every single profitable sports bettor's journeys, including mine. Without them, I would have never been able to see the millions of dollars that I have from sports betting. Now, a long time before I worked with them, I've been using them the best in the game, quality-wise, affordable-wise, price-wise, whatever. Like I said, they're doing a 7-day free trial right now. All you need to do is click the link in my description, and you can use code JC35 for 35% off your first purchase as well. Now, if that doesn't sound like a good deal to you, then I don't know what does, because you're not going to be getting any much more profit from your $20 outlier subscription when you could be using OddsJam instead. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching my quick beginner's guide on how you can become a profitable sports bettor and stop losing all of your money from emotional sports betting, and actually just incorporate these 3 easy strategies that anyone can do, right? Like I said, if I can do it, you can do it as well. So if you learned anything from this video, if this video helped you at all, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, turn your notifications on, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Boom.